Hello! Welcome to The Healing Artist. This is a space where we talk about healing, spirituality, and what does it mean to be human. Today, friends, I wanted to talk to you about peak experiences and the power of peak experiences, how they can help to heal us. Friends, peak experiences remind us who we really are. They help us transcend our ordinary lives and open us up to becoming part of the all that is. Now, they often happen in really special moments with nature. So, say you're standing on the beach and the water is flowing in, and then you experience the most awe inspiring, beautiful sunset. Peak experiences have these qualities around them where you sort of lose time, you just go into the experience, and it's really about becoming, honestly, like an ego death. Like maybe you forget who you are because you're so entranced in what is happening. It takes you outside of yourself, outside of your thinky thoughts. Like if your mind is constantly racing and has a lot to say, peak experience often offer you these like moments of complete and total slowing down so that you're just one with what is happening. So peak experiences offer this framework of perhaps not these great healing moments, breakthroughs coming in therapy, but rather in just moments of awe that sort of naturally unfold in your life. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of peak experiences that I've had. One was when I was in high school, and I went to a creative and performing arts high school, and my teacher, Miss Coonan, had talked to us for, at this point, I think 4 years about how skin has the spectrum of color within it. And I couldn't see it. Now, she talked about it. I'd listened to her talk and tell us about it for years, and she would show us how we were adding these other colors to our palettes to create the skin colors of our whoever we were painting. But I didn't like see it. And it was my senior year in high school. I was sitting in like a bikini doing a full scale, a life size painting of myself, an oil painting, sitting there. And when you're doing that, you're just looking in the mirror, looking at yourself, looking in the mirror, looking at yourself. And I remember sitting there. I'd been painting for quite some time, but I was just examining myself, examining my body in the position that I was painting myself in. And all of a sudden, it was like like a veil lifted or my eyes went, and all of a sudden I saw the colors. Time stopped. I saw that my skin had all sorts of different kinds of blues. I saw that it had purple. It had these different rosy reds. I saw this in my skin. I could see the color array through the pores. The shadows, the burnt umber in this part, and then the purple and the dioxide red, and like these different areas, it all came to life. I saw the color wheel in my own skin, and my life forever changed. I have always been able to see the spectrum of color in everything that I look at. When I go to the paint store to pick out paint for my home or projects, especially let's talk about white. Every single white that is on that shelf is different. It all skews towards having another color on the spectrum within it. And I can see that color. I can see where it falls in the cools or warms and what kind of cool or warm, the quality of it within the colors. Yeah, I was probably 17 years old and it changed my life forever. I forever will see the world differently since then, and it's an absolute gift. This was a peak experience. Another one I had, friends, was during the pandemic. Very early on in the pandemic, I began meditating. And one of the parts of meditation was walking meditation. I became absolutely obsessed with it. I walked every day. And the teacher that taught me walking meditation had a sort of formula. You walked really, really fast for 10 minutes, and then you walked footstep, 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 extremely slow. And in that slowing down, we were to examine our surroundings. So it was like you got your yayas out, and then you deeply looked. And it brought to life for me things like blades of grass and the dew on the blade of grass. And then going into the dew on the blade of grass was an entire rainbow of colors. And the dew had a rind on it. And to imagine, and you could see just like an oil slick on the rind, and within that was a reflection of the world around. And it was just going into and into and into. And it was a way of stopping the thinky thoughts, the voice in your head. And it was just to absolutely be in awe of the all that is, the everything around. And a really incredible, extraordinary, special experience with that happened when I was walking in the Piedmont Cemetery. I'd been fast walking, and now it's time to slow down. And as I slowed down, there was a tree in front of me, and the tree really caught my attention. So I went to it. And again, it was like time stopped. I am looking at what my mind knows is a tree, but it was almost like my consciousness then went into the tree, and I was the tree. So there was no separation in my body and the tree's body. And I am the tree, and the tree is me. And then it was like my eyes focused in on the bark, the qualities of the bark, beginning to see how the skin of the tree was like the skin of my skin, and how it was like just, but there weren't these like logical thoughts around it. It was just observing in silence. There was like a silence inside of me. Because normally my thinky thoughts want to analyze what I'm looking at. Oh, look at that. Look at the quality of that brown. Look at the quality of that brown. Look at how this little jaggedy edge and that little jaggedy edge, how they all line up and create the bark that is the tree. No, all of it was quiet. And there wasn't any separation between me and the tree. And then my eyes focused in beyond the bark, beyond the qualities of the bark, and into a colony of ants that were going up the tree. And I was the ants, and the ants were me. And it was just in observing in silence. And they were just going about their day, having an experience of their own. And I'm trying to like relay this back to you, but the whole thing probably was a few minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And it showed me the oneness. I experienced oneness. And I realized that everything has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. In experiencing that, again, it changed me. I have never experienced the world the same. Everything is alive. Everything has something to say. Everything is a part of us, and we are a part of it. Things can have different amounts of consciousness depending on how much life and energy and intention have been put into it, but everything is, in a way, alive. Yeah. So the word peak experience was coined by Abraham Maslow. I think he first started to develop the idea of this in the 40s, and then he coined the concept in the 50s. And then it became sort of part of our zeitgeist in the 60s with several books that he had written. And the way that he defines a peak experience is these transcendent moments of highest happiness, fulfillment, and harmony. Have you ever had any of those in your life? Is that something that you've experienced? The qualities around it that he talks about are a loss of ego, time distortion, total focus, deep wonder, and universal oneness. And then a passive acceptance. This isn't an experience that you're creating, it is something that you are experiencing and you just are taking it in. Another part of the peak experience in his definition is that it permanently shifts your life experience, permanently expands upon your world view and your self-worth. So just thinking, is this something that you've had an experience with? Some people might say, yes, they've had peace experiences while using drugs. That is one way that people choose to expand their mind, but also just being in nature, like the awe of the all that is. Like the first time I saw the Grand Canyon, I'd never seen anything like that. It was like a matte painting. Now, I didn't have a transcendent experience that changed my life in a major way, but I can imagine that happening when looking at the Grand Canyon. So something, or how about like a starry sky? Being laying out under the stars and just realizing that we are so small in the amount of everything happening in our solar system, and we can only see a little bit of what we know exists. Like it's just like So friends, I recently went on a vacation with some of my girlfriends, and I wanted to share the experience with you because it was peak after peak after peak after peak after peak experience. So several months ago, one of my girlfriends, we're going to call her A, and she is just a beloved friend who I met at Burning Man. Something really amazing about A is they met me in 2017 when I was deep in my stuff and definitely wounded AF and not very nice. So she actually got to meet me and has seen me transform into the person that I am now. And I love that. Like, that makes me really happy because I've come a long way, baby. And so is she. I just absolutely love this person, but we don't have like a daily communication. But when we see each other, it's just like in each other's faces, this is good. We like it. And she is amazing. And A has a cabin up in the Sierra National Forest. It's a family cabin, and it is where she grew up. And it is an absolutely stunning, remarkable place to visit. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to tell you more about it. But a couple months ago, A said, would you like to go to my family cabin? We're thinking about selling it, and I want to make a trip out there. And I was just like, my intuition, without even like thinking about it at all, was just like, yes. It lit up as a yes. We put dates on the calendar, and then I did not think about this very much again until probably the week before we actually went and did the vacation. That is seriously how my mind works. I'm like, I'll address it when it's here, and I don't really think about things before that. So the time for the vacation came. And A also invited a really good friend of hers, and we're going to call her J. And I'd met Jay at different parties and events before, but we hadn't spent like a ton of time together. I knew that she's remarkable. I'd see her on social media when I had a TikTok account, and she's incredible. She's a scientist and an explorer of life. She is a deeply spiritual being, and she is a writer and author, very accomplished woman. So I knew of her, but like didn't have like a deep friendship connection yet. But I was excited to spend more time. I picked those guys up from the airport. They are from up north more. And we borrowed my sister's car. She just got this brand new RAV4 hybrid, and she was on vacation with her boyfriend. So she was like, oh yeah, totally use my car. This car is awesome. Oh my gosh. So we're like totally in this like brand new SUV riding up the hill, like switchbacks beyond belief up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. So fun. We went to the grocery store and just had the most fun buying whatever we wanted at the grocery store, which was adorable. We found out that, like, even though we're gonna have a hog wild 4 or 5 days, we still really liked vegetables. We were fiber girls. We go up, 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 up into the mountains to the cabin. Oh my God, it was absolutely gorgeous up there. The air has such a different quality. It's thinner. But wow, is it interesting. The vistas are stunning. The trees are remarkable. The land itself vibrates. The rocks are loud. So those guys were a little bit tired and we were still all sort of getting our bearings. We put the groceries away, we turned on the water, got into the situation, chose bedrooms. It was a 3-bedroom cabin. And it wasn't really a cabin, it was like a nice house. Like when I was thinking a cabin, I thought we'd have like a pipe stove and be sleeping in sleeping bags in front of it. It's a house. Here's something incredibly remarkable about this place. After, I don't know if it was the 2017 or the 2020 fires, but the bears didn't have any place to be. The bears ended up breaking into the cabin and living in the house. So there have been bears sleeping in these beds, and they're the same beds that the bears had been in. And this delighted me because we were sleeping in bear beds. My bed was so comfortable. I loved it. It is so silent up there at night. Normally, where I live, I use like a sound machine to fall asleep at night, but oh my God, it's quiet there. So A told me about a swimming hole that was fairly close. I hadn't had a flight under my belt. I had more energy, so I went ahead, put my shoes on, and got going. I wanted to go check out this swimming hole. And I walk down there, and the first thing that happens when I find it is going down the trail, it opens up into this vast expanse of rocks. And I normally connect with trees. Trees are the things that give me chitter chat conversation right away. I hear trees. But these rocks were loud. And I introduced myself. I talked about how excited I was to be there. And the rocks were happy to see me. And they are ancient. And they had some ancient wisdom to impart. The water was the next thing to chat with, to make an introduction to the water. The water is beautiful. This gorgeous running stream. And then I actually couldn't hear the trees around the swimming hole because the rocks were so loud, and secondary the water. So then I've been chilling down there. I set an alarm. There's no cell phone service or anything. So I was like, okay, I'll be gone an hour. And if I'm not back in an hour, come looking for me. So I was chilling, just meditating, enjoying the watering hole. And then A just shows up. She said she was trying to take a nap and it was just too hot. So she was like, why don't I go to the watering hole? Freda's already over there. So she comes over and she's like, oh no. So apparently a tree had fallen in the watering hole. Now, I wouldn't have known any different, but she showed me that the watering hole was actually sort of back into the place where I was. And there's like natural slides of rocks that you can like slide down into. It's just like epically gorgeous, but a big, huge, massive tree has fallen. So she strips down, she's got her bikini on, the girls are out, and she heads on back into it. Now, I was just wearing my clothes from the day and had not been intending to go in the water, but watching her go back in there, I'm just like, well, that looks interesting. So I'm watching her make her way over the rocks, and it's slightly perilous. Like, it's not, she knows how to get there because she's a former local. I'm watching her go back in, and then she gets back in there, and she's immediately like, well, this tree is really blocking any way for us to use the slide. It's blocking this, it's blocking this. Like, it's taking up her little seat that she used to sit on as a kid. And immediately she starts trying to move some branches out of the way and stuff. Well, this piques my interest. And then this is the part that just like cracks me up, because these is the kind of friends that I am with her. We like to do physical labor projects together. Like, when you're building Burning Man camp, it's pretty physically intense. She starts mucking around and wrestling with this tree in her bikini. And I'm like, well, I'd like to be involved. So I got to get my shoes off. And now I sit all my stuff there and I'm heading back in through the water. We end up pulling something that I don't know, it's probably at least 100 pounds. And the two of us are like, she's on one end of it, lifting and grunting. She's very strong. And I'm at the top pulling and lifting. And we get this really gigantic tree branch out of the situation and off to the side. Move it. And we're moving it up big slanted rocks. Like it was not nothing. And we kind of were giggling at each other because we realized this is our idea of a good time. And that was the moment that we just went full feral. At that point, we decided we were going to remove the tree. We have a plan for the next day, and that is that we are going to saw and cut this tree out of the watering hole. And that is what we proceeded to do a little bit every day for the next 4 days. Every day we visited the watering hole, and every day we hacked away at the tree in the water until we cleared it. That's our idea of a good time. In the process of going full feral in the woods, many things, we did not stop laughing. I had an amazing time with Jay. A is a late sleeper, so the two of us were morning people, and we would be up and had these amazing, beautiful, deep, spiritual, connected conversations in the mornings over coffee. We took gorgeous hikes, and it's just the entire thing, I was at a 10. I was with two people that I trusted, these incredibly smart, remarkable women, sharing together this friendship and unique experience and just being completely playful, making up songs together, having fun, unabandoned, outdoor fun. No makeup, no performance, no one to impress. The entire situation was completely in the moment. From the time that I picked them up from the airport, honestly, from the time I started driving my sister's car, it was complete present moment awareness. There was no future tripping. There was no past tripping outside of when we shared stories. It was being completely present to the experience of being on the mountain. God, what a joy. One really funny moment that we had was when we were investigating a mineral spring that A knew about. And you have to hike down and in, and there's all these secret little nooks and crannies. And a beautiful dog came bursting out of the woods from the area that we were walking in and just like looked at us and was like, And we were like, hi. And then immediately the dog was like, well, hi. And then this man with his fishing rods starts coming out of the woods as well, sort of like very suspicious. And he was like, oh man, no one is ever down here. The dog was alerting, and I was worried that there was a mountain lion because he had actually seen a mountain lion when he was out with his dog recently. And I'm like, oh, not a mountain lion, just 3 cougars. And immediately, like, any kind of suspicion, his face just sort of like lit up, and we then proceeded to have a chat with him for quite some time. But it was that kind of goofy, fun, playful, adorable energy. So other amazing things from this trip is we went to visit the stag tree. As A says, she fifth. This is the 5th oldest tree in the world. What? She is over 3,000 years old, and she is so loud. Now, I hear trees audibly. She's so loud that Jay could communicate and hear her. And Jay doesn't usually hear in the same way, but Jay was totally chilling with the stag tree. So the stag tree is very powerful. Oh my goodness, what an incredible experience. It was just overwhelming sitting with this 3,000 plus year old tree and just absorbing these deep wisdom of basically the ultimate message was impermanence. Life is impermanent. We get to choose, we both get to choose the directions and choices that we make in our life, and simultaneously, sometimes things just happen, and there's a level of acceptance, and how do we deal with what happens? At one point, the tree had been split in an area with lightning. The tree could have passed over, but she didn't, and actually shared that she became a library, and she is a library of the land and has held a record of what has happened in the area since. And not only in the area, because they are connected in the root systems, the trees talk to each other. She's an anchor point on this mountain, a very sacred space. And the people in the community know it. She is valued as such. She feels incredibly cared for by the people on the land that she is on. The stag tree, y'all. She is so loud that my guess is if you wanted to try to communicate with her, you can look her up on Wikipedia and see if she has anything to say to you, because she is so connected to the underground, her root system, that you might be able to chitter chat with the stag tree from where you are. And she is chatty. She was also very funny. Something that I like to do with my Burning Man friends is moon people. So I like to take a mooning photo, pull my butt out. And I took a mooning photo with the stag tree, and she liked it. In no way, shape, or form was this disrespectful. It was like, oh, you're fun. So the stag tree has a wonderful sense of humor. So Sierra National Forest is filled with giant sequoias, and there was really interesting hike that we took. It was like about 6 miles, and on that hike, I called it the death and rebirth hike, because these giant sequoias that had burned, their carcasses, their remains are still in the ground, but then at their feet, the heat from the acorns and the ash on the ground is like created, the forest floor was rebirthing with baby sequoias. So there were like these groves of regrowth and simultaneously total devastation. So the sequoias that were in the process of coming up were probably like 2 feet. And otherwise, you're just looking around and the expanse is, quite frankly, like Mordor. It's like really, you're walking on ash. And we came up with who are each of our Lord of the Rings characters that we are on this hike. And we just laughed the entire time talking about this. And at first, it was so cute because all of us wanted to be Sam. At first, we all wanted to be the helper. We all wanted to be the one to be very loyal. And we kind of giggled about it and realized that actually none of us are Sam, and that A is actually Gimli. And we decided that J was Legolas. But we had to actually convince her of that. She was worried that elves don't have a sense of humor, but I feel like Legolas does, because Legolas and Gimli have this like back and forth tete-a-tete going within them. So then it was like, well, who am I? And then it was like decided that I was Paragam Took. So there was many moments where we were just giggling and going, fool of a toque. Which was delightful, charming, and yeah, of course I'm Paragam Took. I mean, come on. I knocked the helmet down the well for sure, and simultaneously am hanging out with the trees. I will be with the tree ents and part of the tree ent battle 100. Yeah, absolutely. So just a delight. We could not stop laughing. Like our bellies hurt from the joy, the giggling. Okay, one more story. On one of the days that we were hacking away at the tree, I saw a snake in the tree as I was leaning over sawing, and the girls were sitting on a rock drinking beers. And I'm laboring away. I'm having a wonderful time. In the tree branches, in the tree that is like not connected to the one I'm sawing, there is what I just like I'm looking and looking and I'm like, oh my God, that's a snake. And it was not just like a snake, it was a yards plus long snake and quite fat, like a quarter in some places and a $50 in other places. This was a snake. And well, a $50 is an exaggeration. But it was absolutely a quarter and like sometimes a little bigger than a quarter. So the snake is wrapped up in the branch and like I was just like, whoa. When I realized this, it shocked me. And then I was like, you guys, there's a snake in this tree. And now they had seen a snake just in the water, but it was shorter. It was like maybe, I didn't see that one, but I was under the impression that it was like 6 to 8 inches, a swimmer in the water. And so they didn't take much stock in what I was seeing. And I'm trying to get off the tree with the saw waving in the air, and I kind of slipped or just spazzed out for a moment. I don't know. But I went backwards into the water, ripping the hell out of the backs of my legs. Like, as I was falling, the tree just like ate the back of my legs. I fall back in, my head is under the water, and I fell towards the snake. And I really had this moment of like, shock, right? And as I started to pull myself out of the water, get myself back onto the log, I'm like making eye contact with my friends who are seriously just chilling on this rock. And I was started to eulogize myself. I was just like, girls. No, I think I said ladies. I said, ladies. Don't forget me. Ladies, don't forget me. Oh my God, that is everything. I have thought about this moment so many times since that. That is like my entire personality. Oh my God, don't forget me. That's what I'm actually working with. Oh my God, the Leo moon is all written all over that, let me tell you. Don't forget me. So I'm eulogizing myself. They're just drinking their beers. They do not give a F. And they were like, yeah, if we actually thought that something was wrong, we would have totally jumped in. But you were speaking. You were giving your own funeral. Anyway, get out of that experience. We all go around to see the snake because I'm insistent. I'm like, no, this one is big. So then we all hike up and around to get back over to the place where we can have a better view of the snake from a rock. And we're taking a film on our cameras of it, and it is enormous. And it is eating. It is eating something. Its jaw is unhinged and is taking it in. Incredible. That snake had been hanging out there while we were spending the entire afternoon deconstructing its environment around it, and it is chilling in the middle of the water with rushing waves swooping all over around it, and it's just eating its meal. And I had this little light bulb go off inside of me, and it was like, be the snake. In 2026, as the patriarchy falls around us, as there are atrocities that are beyond our, it is so big, it is hard to know what to do with it. And because of the internet, we can see it and we know it. And stuff is so intense and challenging and difficult that I had this sort of just like be the snake moment. Yes, everything is crumbling. Can you digest your life? Can you be in the center of the chaos? Can you be in the center of the raging waters and simply digest your life? Allow it to come in and move through you. So that was a big one for me. And also, I've got some delicious scars on the backs of my legs now that it's like a tattoo, except it's a scar. And I love that. Undesired and yet wonderfully accepted nature baptism that I did not see coming. So I'll take it. Baptism where I started eulogizing myself. So, peak experiences really remind us that life isn't only about productivity. And I know that that is part of my thing. I am productive beyond what I need to be productive. I could die tonight, and honestly, I've done enough. Truly. That drive, that go, that leave the legacy, do the thing. Sometimes the most beautiful, expansive, rewarding aspect of our healing is just getting to a place where we get to enjoy our lives. Not everything is a battle. Beauty heals. Joy is medicine. Nature regulates us. Nature is our teacher. Nature is our free medicine. Friendship is spiritual. Having peak experiences with friends and inside jokes and sharing energetically so deeply. Friendship is sacred. And play is spiritual. No matter what age you are, unabandoned childlike play, whatever that is. So sometimes healing is not about excavating another wound. It is simply about learning how to be present. We become whole in order to just be, to allow the beauty of life to unfold, to allow ourselves to hang out with our friends and laugh. Thank you, friends, for joining me today as we chitter chatted about this incredible peak experience, this wonderful vacation that I had with my friends. And I want to encourage you to be open to having these peak moments in your life. And tell me, have you ever had one? You can share it in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. Friends, I want to tell you that I love you. God, Universe, Source loves you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.